Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namissami. I'd like to express my gratitude to the gathered bhikkhus, to the Jawad, and to my Ajahn Kimanando, Mahatheras, and friends in the Dhamma, and you all. This is the start of Songkran and the start of the new year, one of 5 or so New Years that we have every year. So it's a time to take stock. I mean, every day is really a time to take stock. Every breath is the start of a new year. So, but these occasions when we say, well, this is the new year, and you can actually give yourself time, give yourself care, give yourself attention to know what is going on, to know how you are receiving this moment and how you are responding to this moment and how this sense of who you are is in this moment. And that's not something you can really think about. It's something that you have to practice doing in the same sort of way as years ago, for some of you, not so long ago for some others, you learned how to walk. When you learned how to walk, did you worry about falling over? Do you remember? You just went and got up and started walking and fell over. And got up and started walking again. So do this practice. Do this as practice. And don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to feel, oh, I've got it wrong. I don't know how to walk. I don't think you ever thought that, did you? I don't think it was even a thought in your head. You probably weren't thinking incredibly much when you were learning how to walk. I think some of you maybe nowadays, I have to think more about how I walk than I used to. But it's to consider that when you were learning something, when you were learning to practice something, you didn't really think about it. Something as simple as that. So if you're practicing the Eightfold Path, it's not something that you really have to fully understand. You just have to keep practicing it and figure out, well, what is this word samma about? What is this word about? What is right and what's wrong? What's in tune with the Dhamma and what's not in tune with the Dhamma? What's actually, in a sense of, the correct thing to do rather than what I want to do? What is the thing that will actually lead to less suffering for myself and others now and in the future? It's not, and with that is much more a sense of interest and experimenting and willing to fail and willing to learn. Because, as you know, really, really stupid people think they never make mistakes. You met many of those? And if you think you never ever make a mistake, then that's called ignorance. Because you don't know what you don't know. If you don't learn from your mistakes, that's called being pretty arrogant. People might tell you that it's a mistake. And you might think, well, that was not right. But then if you don't learn how to learn from it, then you're either being very, very arrogant or very lazy. And the Buddhist path is a way of effort. It's a way of effort. It's not a way of just hanging around and just hoping that things are going to work out. When you learned how to walk, you actually had to make an effort, didn't you? And so similarly, when you're practicing the Eightfold Path, make that effort to practice what is in accordance with the Dhamma. What is something that you can know here and now, in this moment? This is less suffering for yourself and others. What is something that is always less suffering for yourself and others? No. Anyway, you don't necessarily know, but if you know you don't know, at least you're going to try and find out. That's what you want to practice. Now, if you really consider, well, what is beautiful, what is attractive, what actually encourages a sense of investigation, this is something to practice in your behavior, in your thought, and in your speech, so that it leads to a sense of peace, it leads to a sense of ease, it leads to a sense of relief. Oh, it's okay. And that sort of sense that you can realize for yourself in this moment. Yeah? Samma means in accordance or right in terms of Dhamma. Yeah? And that rightness in the Dhamma is something that is revealed by wisdom. It is something that you can know here and now. It is something that's inherent in every moment. And it's something that's outside of time. It's not time-bound. And it's always beautiful and always encouraging. It always brings a sense of joy and yet relief, a sense of ease, a sense of, oh, that's what's happening. And that's a sense of, when you discover the truth, that's what it feels like, doesn't it? It feels, there's a sense of, oh. And then you think, oh, anybody can do this if they just try. You know, anybody, most people do learn to walk. And so similarly, practice the Eightfold Path. Practice the way that you assume things. What do you assume? Know what you assume. If you don't know what your assumptions are, if you don't know where you're coming from or what your paradigm is, then again, and if you don't know that you don't know, then that's called ignorance. And one of the things that the Buddha did promise us is that the root cause of all troubles is ignorance. Yeah? If we don't know what's happening, then we tend to cause trouble for ourselves and others. So learn. Allow yourself to make mistakes, allow yourself to learn from mistakes. Yeah? When you start to learn from your mistakes, you're being a little bit clever. You think you never make mistakes, you're really stupid. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're stupid still. And if you learn from your mistakes, you're starting to be a little bit wise. This is how you put one foot in front of the other. This is how these are the assumptions. This is the speech. These are the intentions and the volitions in your life that actually lead to a sense of peace. And this is learning from other people's mistakes. It's called educating yourself. Yes. If you learn from other people's mistakes, it's called educating yourself. And it's something that nobody can do for you. You have to learn and educate for yourself. So by all means, work out, what the Supreme Teacher did actually say about this is the way to behave, this is what is to practice. These are the sort of intentions that will actually help you suffer less. The intention not to indulge the senses, the intention not to harm others, the intention not to dwell in a sense of hatred. These are and to really consider the Dhamma, and then figure out, what is the right way to speak that actually will lead to a sense of peace and ease now and in the present and in the future. It won't lead to more suffering. So you train yourself. This is how you speak, so you don't use gossip, you don't lie, you don't backbite, you don't put bare tails. You try to speak at the right time, in the right place, in ways that encourage. And the person you most talk to is inside your head. Be kind to yourself. And use that as a way of encouraging yourself so that your actions are also kind and not harmful, not deliberately harmful for yourself. Recognize that a sense of indulgence is actually a sense of self-harming because it's desensitizing yourself. Not just, just then, give yourself a sense of fearlessness. So you don't have to fear what people find out about you, and you also give other people a sense that they don't have to fear you. Give yourself the 5 precepts. Give yourself the 5 precepts is to give yourself a sense of fearlessness. And that's Very, very helpful, so you don't have to hide anything and nobody needs to fear you. That's an incredibly generous thing you can do because society depends upon that. And then through your livelihood, figure out how to support yourself and then make the effort not to perpetuate the habits that you do notice in yourself that these actually are harmful. Just stop. Very difficult stopping habits that aren't skillful. But if you can, that sense of you can do it, you can train yourself. And then you can start to not pick up new unwholesome habits. And if you notice and learn wholesome habits that actually do help, and you're in yourself, then actually keep those going, keep doing it. And develop new wholesome habits if you hear about them or you learn about them. And how to do that is to know what you're doing and why you're doing it in every moment. This is through all aspects of your life, through this very important thing that you do that you forget about a lot of the time. Do you know if you're breathing in or you're breathing out? Yeah? And how does your life change when you understand and feel and experience the sense of the breath coming in and the breath leaving? And how soft can it be when your belly rises as you breathe in and falls as you breathe out? Or do you breathe with your chest? And what's the difference? How does it feel? The breath is incredibly revealing. Incredibly revealing. It tells you a lot about how you are and about how things are in your universe. And the sort of attention you give that is really, really powerful. Because you could change all sorts of things and change how you are in the world just by giving attention and receiving the breath. And in giving attention, you're not demanding it be another way, but it's like you're playing. You know when you used to play with your toys? You gave them attention to try to figure out how they worked. And it's like you investigate, what's happening here? How does this breath work? How can you sustain the breath and the attention with the breath? And how does it work? Play with it, play with that attention and sustain that. Notice what stops, that's sustaining and keep going. So this is the new year. And I think that's a sort of rundown of what I would encourage you to do this year is practice the Eightfold Path. Figure out, educate yourself to the degree that you need to, just enough to keep practicing and feel and experience for yourself what it's like to suffer less now and in the future. So you're not making more problems for yourself and others, so your life can then be a blessing for yourself rather than a curse. Bless your life. The scattering of the water is not really a blessing. You bless your life by making it something whereby beings suffer less now and in the future. Okay? So this is the end.